All right, here we go.
Chris,
That was awesome, Chris.
home run.
Well, I mean, Mike asked me yesterday. He's like, "How much work would it be to do something for our anniversary?" And I'm like, "Mike, it's Monday. It's Monday, our anniversary." And I was like, "What? First of all, I was wondering which anniversary, because I was like, if we're talking about our Head in the Clouds anniversary, that's tomorrow, which is now today. Or if we're talking about the Go Cloud Careers anniversary, that's on Friday." So I'm like, Mike, that's a lot more than a couple of days work. He's like, "Well, last year you did all this stuff," and I'm like, "Yeah, I planned that stuff."
I love it.
It's like we haven't been creating all new programs and creating a tech interview program, completely redoing our cloud architect career development program, traveling out to Tennessee and making new content with the professors out there in Tennessee, making all these great guides and ebooks for everybody. It's not like we haven't been doing anything. So Mike asked me yesterday, "What can I do?" And I'm like, "Well, nothing." So that's what we got. We got that quick flip book. The most difficult part of that was finding the music. I had to find something that was going to be like, boom, boom.
Man, that was natural.
That was awesome, Chris. And while we know I'm a planner, we know I come from the adapt, improvise, and overcome world. So great adaptation, great improvisation. And let's have some fun here.
Yeah. Mike coming to me yesterday asking about the anniversary. I'm like, I didn't even realize it was the anniversary. Okay.
Well, I didn't either until my wife told me yesterday. She's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
So, wow, man, a whole year has gone past.
Yes. So a year of Head in the Clouds show. Wow. That was originally supposed to be just you and Mike. So
the more the merrier, Chris.
Why not?
It was supposed to be Head in the Clouds with Mike and Alonzo. That's how we started off. That's where that was our brainstorming phase, was Head in the Clouds with Mike and Alonzo. And so somehow it naturally became,
it morphed,
Head in the Clouds with us. I think it mainly has something to do with somebody has to keep you under control. It was just Mike and Alonzo trying to run a show.
Oh, we'd probably still be on the same episode.
We'd still be on episode 1 and 365.
We'd still be going and going.
When I proposed it as the Mike and Alonzo show, because Alonzo and I are so similar, it would have been like the same person talking.
Yes.
Oh man.
I'm pretty sure that's how I became a third leg to this stool. But anyway, so in case it hasn't come across, we are celebrating or recognizing or whatever you want to call it, 1 year of Head in the Clouds shows. Obviously, we've been on YouTube for longer than that, but we decided that we needed to have a place for us to have a little bit more fun. So we a year ago, technically a year ago tomorrow, March 15th was the first episode of Head in the Clouds. So we're looking back on that and what we have in store for the future. So let's get us, what kind of hashtag can we get? Let's see something.
It's going to have to be a long one this time.
I can't do it. No.
That's just my favorite, Cloud Architect.
Okay. Well,
that's always a good one.
I think I like Cloud Hired. I like Cloud Hired.
You can do Cloud Hired too. Yeah, I mean, that's our focus. Cloud Architects, helping people win the interview and helping people earn more money in tech.
Did anybody get all those? That's a lot of hashtags. I didn't catch all those.
So Cloud Architect.
If you caught any of those, put them in the chat box.
Tech interview and how to make more money in tech. That's where our area of expertise lies.
Okay, so all right. Let me. Okay, so we got hashtag Cloud Architect tech interview, how to earn more money in tech.
And the starter said something great. HITC, heading to clouds. Let's make it an acronym.
Hired HITC.
Thanks, the starter.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that great idea.
All right, there's your hashtag, everybody.
Oh, I was thinking 3 or 4 hashtags. That's getting crazy there.
Hey, this is our anniversary, so let's go crazy.
All right, well, that's beyond my ability to write and spell in a complete sentence.
Well,
but
you only said one hashtag, Mike. You said hashtag, and then you just said a bunch of words.
I would be like cloud architect hashtag, tech interview hashtag, how to make more money in tech hashtag.
You didn't keep saying the hashtag though. You just said hashtag once. So
hey, to me, it's still a pound sign.
Oh,
Please enter the pound or hash sign on a telephone. I don't use hashtags.
Oh, let's get through some of these comments over here. We got Greg B with the cloud hired from 5:30. Okay, all right, that was 5:30. Actually, you know what? Let's just go straight to the next thing that came in at 5:37. Hi, I'm eagerly looking for AWS cloud support engineer role, and I have 11 years of experience in technical support, but it is very difficult to search a job in this role. Please suggest.
I'm going to help you right now. Get out of engineering. And I'm going to tell you this for a reason. There's going to be massive layoffs in engineering, and it hasn't even begun. And our architect students are getting hired every single day of the week. Here's the reason engineering jobs are going to die. 50% of them are going to go by the way of artificial intelligence, because there's no reason to hire people when you can use artificial intelligence to write a Terraform script and to do so many of these things. The CEO's job is very clear. Increase shareholder value, and they will either get fired or be put in prison if they act unaccordingly, if they are a publicly traded CEO. So get out of engineering. So you've got the artificial intelligence. The second reason engineering jobs are going is the economy is not great. And companies are hiring architects and sales reps and people that drive revenue. And that's why our students get hired every day. And that's why engineers are getting fired, sadly, every single day. That's why we stopped selling our engineering program 6 months ago. And we're continuing our engineering program for the students that are there. And just yesterday, we got a student their first cloud engineering job. So they're still getting hired, but we teach the emotional intelligence, the executive presence, the leadership, the sales skills that makes engineers very special and not just a techie. So you've got the economy. And the third reason you're going to see massive layoffs of engineers in the US, the UK, Canada, and Australia is as follows. Cloud makes it irrelevant where your employees are for your engineering. Your architects need to go visit the clients, but your engineers don't. And it doesn't matter where your engineer is in California, Cambodia, Cameroon, Chicago, Cape Town, Cayman Islands, or anywhere else.
I need to get like a Cookie Monster voice effect for you.
I do love the Cookie Monster, and that's why I alliterate so much. So the point is, if you're the CEO, where are you going to hire your engineers? In California, where the average home is $1.49 million, and you got to pay your people a lot, or somewhere like Cameroon, where it's $24,000 to buy a home. $100,000 US in the US is equivalent to $28,000 in India. So get out of engineering. That's why we stopped selling our engineering program, because we love when our people get hired, and we know that engineering is not the place to be, but architecture sure is. So that's what my recommendation is. And if you're going to be in engineering, you're going to need a branding expert like Alonzo to make your resume so good the world comes to you. Our students don't apply for jobs. The world comes to them. But in all seriousness, I would move out of engineering and move into architecture. I don't think engineering is a good place to be. That's why we ceased selling our engineering program. And believe me, we had people lining out the door to buy our engineering program. I just didn't want to sell a course if I didn't think people were going to get hired out of it and earn a lot of money, because I'm into building good careers. So I'd recommend something else. We got a cloud architect program, and our program is now 50% on sale until midnight. So that'll get you a new job where you'll earn a lot more money and have a much better life. That would be my recommendation.
All right. Yeah. All right. So
and
Mike
Chris,
just
go ahead, Chris.
What were you going to say?
I was going to ask you to go over our specials before.
Yeah. So Mike just mentioned something I need to make sure that everybody is aware of. So, and hopefully Tyrone is there to help me in the chat box. So for the rest of today through midnight, whatever the farthest west time zone there is, we have a 50% off discount for our award-winning Cloud Architect Career Development Program. That coupon code to get the 50% off is last time 50, last time 50. The reason it's last time 50 is because it's the last time it'll be 50% off. So make sure to take advantage of that discount. Tyrone, if you'll also put the coupon code in there, last time 50, thank you. Awesome. So this award-winning program, Mike, I'm going to let you do it once.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right. So, wait.
Okay.
So Mike has this thing he likes to do. Let's just do first names.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So this award-winning Cloud Architect Career Development Program includes 500 hours worth of training, 500 hours worth of on-demand content training, 3 live classes a week for an entire year, 150 classes that include tech training, design training, business case solution scenarios, soft skills training, and it involves teaching from me, Mike, Alonzo, other experts such as application architect at AWS or an enterprise architect that I'm trying to remember how many years of experience Angelo brings to the table. But anyway, Angelo, an amazing enterprise architect, is part of our team. Imran Takir, an amazing network architect. Praveen DeWitty, an amazing big data cloud architect. Lohit, an amazing architect at AWS. We've got professors from the University of Tennessee at Martin with Dr. Johnson and Dr. Long from the College of Business there at the University of Tennessee. We've got so many people that are part of this amazing training, and we do it for you. And we do it at the fraction of the cost that others do. And we give you unlimited access to the training. It's not 16 weeks and you're done and you're expected to go get the job, whatever the job is, no matter how low it pays. That's not how this is. That's how those other boot camps do that cost people $35,000 and just give them whatever they can get them. We want you to get the job that you desire. That's why we allow you to stay in the program as long as you need to. So take a look at the link that Tyrone shared, utilize that discount, take advantage of that, and be like so many other people that have succeeded with that. Mike, I'm sure you've got a couple of people that
I got a people. How many am I allowed to talk about, Chris? Because usually when I get over 20 or 30, you get frustrated.
I gave you a specific list. Stick to the list.
Okay, so, we get people hired every single day with or without a tech background. Just a sample of a few. Navina, who we got hired at JP Morgan Chase. Ian, who we got hired at Capgemini. Arun, who never worked in tech before. We got him a great cloud architect job at TELUS. Praveen, we got hired at JP Morgan Chase. He was a big data architect. 6 months later, he's now a cloud architect after our training. Of course, we had Govid, who we now got hired at the Allegis Group, or Ivan Tambo. We all love him. He was a college student working as a waiter, now hired at AWS. Or Coyote, he was also a college student, now hired at AWS, no tech background whatsoever. And then we had someone like Pritapal, who did have a tech background, who we got a great enterprise architect job at AmeriHealth. I remember when Sonali, who had not had a big tech background, had worked with us, and we got her hired as an architect at DTCC. And Rob Dodo was brand new, no tech background. We got him hired at PNC Bank. And of course, Amaranth was brand new to tech. He was a college student, and now he's at Bell Media. And Richard Ferrari, you can see a good video of him. He was actually a college student. Now he's working as a cloud architect at MUFG. And of course, there's Joe. He was a network engineer like me, but now he's a senior architect over at AWS. And then there was Jeffrey, who we was working, do something kind of cool geospatial imaging, and now he's at Cali. And God, I remember him. What a great guy. And then there was Rhea, who's now at NatWest. And Noel, I remember Noel. She's now over there at Deloitte. And Jawad, he was a cloud engineer, but engineering and architects are completely different jobs. So we got him hired at AWS. Oh, and there was Mesh. He was brand new to tech, and we got him his cloud architect job at OSG. And Mag over in India, we got him hired at Cloud4C Services. And Mulatto, we got him his first tech job in Cloudflake GmbH. And then there was Rancho, who we got hired at AWS. And I remember Lenny. He was our video editor. What a great guy. We got him hired as an architect at Arrow Electronics. And of course, I like to call him my kid Delroy back because he comes and visits me in Florida all the time. And he's like a second son to me. And of course, he's working as a cloud security architect at CDW. Oh, and Bruno, we got him his first job at Architect. And then as an architect, obviously. And then Marco, who we got hired at Google. Oh, and then there's Sean. He was Trinidadian, and he always made me laugh and smile. Oh, funny guy. And we got him at Pravoti in the UK, and Jordan Kitko at AWS. I love this. This just makes me excited. And then Daniel Bosu, wow, I got to tell you, he, just in my heart, I remember he spent $35,000 or wasted it on something to help him level up. I don't even know what that means. It's poor grammar. And then we completely retained him and got him hired at JP Morgan Chase. And then after that, Omer Mid, who's at the ABSA Group, and then Balwinder, who was a stay-at-home mom, who was at Microsoft. Jermaine, oh my God, what a great guy. He was selling landscaping gear, and he got multiple really awesome enterprise architect jobs, but he settled upon Southern New Hampshire University. And then there was Jennifer, who was a mental health tech, and I loved watching her get hired at JP Morgan Chase. And then there was Gladys, I forget where she went to, and then Vladimir, who went to North Highland, and Angelo, who went to the Church of Latter-day Saints. Boy, they're very lucky to have him. What a great guy he is. And Depen, who went to Sirius Computer Solutions. And then Lohit, he was a really great engineer, but engineering and architecture are so different. So he came to us and we trained him. Now he's got a senior architect role at AWS. Great guy. And Robert Welch, who we got his first cloud security architect job. Many of you got to meet him. People asked us if age mattered, and he asked me, does my 61 years old matter? And I said, no. Now I got a beautiful cloud security architect job. And Noah, I remember working with Noah. He asked me, he's like, I'm a social worker. Can I get a job as an architect? All these ridiculous job descriptions. And I said, ignore the job descriptions. We'll get you hired. And of course, Noah's now a cloud architect at Ahead. And then you guys got to see Wallace Agana. He never worked in tech either. He skipped the whole cloud architect thing and got an even more senior role. And he's now working at JP Morgan Chase. And my buddy Al, he asked if I would adopt him as a brother, and I said yes. He and I swapped Jamaican recipes because I had Jamaican cooking training because I love that part of the world so much of the food. He just got his first tech job ever. He was previously at Kimberly-Clark, the Consumer Products Group, and he's now a senior solution architect with Deloitte. And Rupender, who just got hired by Scrud Automation. And Alex, he came to me and he said he took some garbage course in England for £5,000, like $7,000 US. And he said, but I don't really have a big tech background. And I said, don't worry, we'll get you hired. He's now working as a cloud architect for Barclays Bank. And Rilwan, who went to Rousseau's Bank, I remember that. And Pierre, really fine guy. Pierre, he was a 20-something-year-old fine young man, truly brilliant, studied psychology. And I said, I'll make you a cloud architect. And guess what? He's now at LeaseWeb. And Debbie Griffin, she'd been spending years doing all kinds of silly, ridiculous AWS certifications. She joined just a few months ago. And now she's there at Credula. And then Scott McCormick, a cloud engineer who just got hired yesterday at Nimbus. And Ronnie, who got hired at Carhartt. And I could go on and on. Chris won't let me go too much further. He gave me like 50 names.
I'm just here, Mike. Keep going. That's the whole list that I gave you. That's not the whole list, but that's the list that I gave you.
Only a fraction of the list, but the point is, why do I do this? Why did I come out of retirement to create this company? Because I knew that people were going to pass these silly certification exams and have nothing. How do I know? I interviewed 1,000 of them. And not a single one knew architecture. They knew a name of the service and how to configure that, which is systems administration, not even engineering, and definitely not architecture. So I love it. I love watching you guys get hired. So to me, it's party time. Every time somebody gets hired, we got a happy dance. I have a big martial arts background, but bad feet from my martial arts industry injuries. So my happy dance isn't too pretty because I got a bad foot. Lonzo's is much better than ours. And Chris is the most analytical person. So you can just imagine what that looks like. Chris is like a rocket scientist in his head. And he's great with analysis. So you can just picture that one in your head. One day he's going to surprise us and have really good dance moves. But we'll figure that one out along the way.
So I think I just so everybody knows, I just made Mike's day by letting him do that.
Yeah, you did.
He always stops me
You
after I get to
did.
6 or 7.
Yeah. Usually I'm like, Mike, we got to stop at like 6 or 7. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. But I felt it was appropriate to let him have a longer list. I think there was 50, Nate. I think I gave you a list of 50.
Yeah,
I
there's so
think
many
we-
more, but
Yeah.
Yeah, we still probably have another 50 more at least.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
we probably got another 50 that haven't bothered to tell us.
yeah, and at least
Yeah,
another
but
50
think about
more
that.
this year, and another 50 that we didn't tell us.
Yeah,
like
we
Fort
happen
Knox.
to we got to
in
graze
South
through
Africa.
LinkedIn to catch up and see who's done
It's like,
what.
hey, wait, I just got hired. I'm like, yeah, I know. You could have told us.
Yeah.
But sometimes our students are just so enthusiastic. They just go out there, they work so hard, they get a job, and it's like, oh, I'm excited for them. However they get hired, whether they even tell us or not, whether it's just as long as they're hired, I feel good. I know what we did worked. I love when things work. And I know what it felt like when I went from medicine to tech. And all these bozos told me I had to be a help desk for a couple years or some kind of network admin. And I said, why would I go from practicing medicine to an intro level role? And they said, you have to. I said, that's nonsense. People get trained for the job they want and they get it. And for 20 plus 5 years, well, I've been doing that. And for 20 years, I've helped people get senior roles as their first job because I trained them properly. You know, airplane pilots don't start out as mechanics and then flight attendants and say, woohoo, I'm a pilot now. They go to flight school. And that's how you become an architect. You go to architect school. They don't work as construction workers for you. It's just insanity. But, this is really great. So, kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But to me, it's all exciting. How about you?
All right. So since Mike seems to be wanting to go into webinar mode, guess what's coming up on Thursday? A webinar where Mike can go full on webinar mode. So on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, we will have our next How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar, where we will tell you what you need to do to become the ultimate cloud architect. If you haven't already taken the opportunity, register for that at the link in the chat box and the description, and make sure to join us. But I would recommend that you do not wait. If you are already ready to enroll, don't wait for the webinar. Go ahead and take advantage of the discount while it's here.
Yeah.
But that webinar will be this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So let's see. We had another question earlier. I want to get to it. It's from I believe it was a young lady that's in college. Let me see if I can find it.
And then then we got another one that I want to address.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. So Ella asks, I'm going to school for cybersecurity, and I'll be done in a few months. Should I wait until after I'm done with school to join the program? And should I also focus on getting searched first or joining the program first? At the end of my schooling, I'll have Security Plus. Just trying to plan out my career, so any help is greatly appreciated.
Ella, start training now. Here's the reason. The average cloud architect earns $16,000 per month. And every month that you waiting so if you wait 4 months, you lost $64,000. Truth be told, certifications are meaningless. Generally speaking, for really high-paying jobs, we often remove a Security Plus. Now, the point is if you understand cybersecurity, great. But the point is certifications are icing on the cake. They're the last thing you should ever do. So let's say you take somebody like Delroy Batt. He had 0 certifications and he got a cloud security architect job. And I asked Delroy, like I ask every one of my students because the answer is the same upon graduation of my program. I said, could you buy a brand new 4-bedroom house where you live and 2 brand new Mercedes and support your family? And he said, yes. So the key is start now. As it turns out, you can get 50% off of our program right now. And that means our entire tuition is going to be less than 2 days' pay for the average graduate, which is $800 a day. Do both now. Because when you're done school, you're still going to need a lot of training, because when you get out of these cybersecurity programs, especially if the end result is a security plus, you're going to need to learn a lot. Things that are not covered in that, which are really critical, are how do you design the demilitarized zone for mission critical systems? How would you come up with an end-to-end security policy? What does it need to look like? What kind of, as an architect, what kind of training can you do? Do your people need anti-malware, anti-social engineering? How many sets of firewalls are you going to use? How are you going to lock down the systems? And the good news is the training that you got is going to help you become a cybersecurity architect, specifically a cloud security architect, which is going to pay on average about $200,000 a year for your first job. So start your training now. Ideally, 6 months from now, 8 months from now, maybe 10 months, worst case scenario, you've got a $200,000 job as a cloud security architect. And you can get hired with no certification. So Ella, let's think about baking a cake. And I really want to make it clear for you, the certifications, nobody hires you for them ever, but they're like icing on a cake. Now, I don't eat cake because I don't eat sugar or flour, but my wife loves cake. And she tells me if it's a good cake, you could eat it without the icing, but she also tells me nobody eats icing out of the jar. So bake the cake, we'll give you the cake. The cake is you and your skills and your emotional intelligence and your empathy and your executive presence, your attitude, enthusiasm. Get ready for the job. Right before you're ready, pass these exams. And these exams, these certifications will be nothing for you with the right training, but they'll be challenging without it. You'll be able to, at the end of our training, if you spend a week or two at it, take the CISSP exam and the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional exam. It'll be nothing for you when you know all the underlying technology. And then you'll be hired. And you'll have a great job and a great career. And I want the best for you. And got a 50% off discount right now. So that's what I would do.
Right. So let's get to this next question. It's a two-parter from Fakita.
Yeah, I really
We
wanted
were
to
on the
address that.
webinar the other day, so let me read the question, please. Wondering if I want to be a solution architect, how much more studying and knowledge would I need to be a cloud architect? Would it be worth it to get a solution architect job first, learn while working, and slowly transitioning? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not, Fideki. So I'm going to make it clear. There's only 3 companies in the world that hire solution architects, and they're not hiring right now. AWS, Microsoft, and Google. Everybody else is a cloud architect. Now, our students are still getting hired by the cloud providers themselves, but here's the thing. That was about 10 years ago where Goldman Sachs, and it's been this way ever since, the average bonus for the employees was $600,000 a year. You're not going to get a job like that as a solution architect. They're only going to hire cloud architects. So big banks hire cloud architects. Consulting companies hire cloud architects. Global retailers hire cloud architects. So if you want a job, you better be a cloud architect. Now, 98% of organizations use more than one cloud, which means there's only 3 companies you can work for as a solution architect. So I wouldn't do that. Now, how much harder is it, Fideki? Good question. Well, let's say you wanted to learn to drive. How much harder would it be for you to learn to drive a Honda, Toyota, Mercedes, and a Chevy, and a Ford, versus just learning how to drive a Honda? Not much. It's all the same. So see, if you want to actually learn the underlying technology, what is a virtual machine? It's the same silly virtual machine on every cloud. If it's the Oracle cloud, the Alibaba cloud, the Dell cloud, the Cisco cloud, the Microsoft cloud, the AWS cloud, or the Google cloud, it's all the same thing. Now, granted, these companies spend millions of dollars paying marketing people to come up with names so you don't know what it is, like Google Compute Engine Instance, or AWS Elastic Compute Cloud 2, or Azure Virtual Machine, or Oracle Virtual Machine, but it's the same thing. So Fideki, learn the cloud. Because if you don't know the cloud, you can't work anywhere anyway. And that's why people have it in their head that they need 10 years experience, because employers won't hire somebody that's certified because they know it's garbage and meaningless. They either hope that you've been taking a training program like ours, and AWS has already sent a director to our course and presented to our students why they love our program. A couple of other major organizations, one about 2 weeks ago, had 300 architect positions open, and they only hire solution architects, but they still were inside of our company looking for cloud architects, because a cloud architect can work as a solution architect. So learn to drive the car, learn to design the cloud, and you're always going to be there. Now, Fideki, I'm going to tell you one other thing. Actually, I'm going to tell you that I could get you hired as a cloud architect most likely faster than you ever could as a solution architect first. Now, the next thing I want to tell you is always go for the hardest thing. I'm going to say it right now. Go for the hardest thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what separates the elite versus everyone else. When everybody does something, Fidaki, you run into the law of supply and demand. If everybody does this and you do it with them, your value goes down. Now, how do you stand out when everybody does this? You don't. You do the thing that few people do. Everybody knows about the U.S. Navy SEALs. They do. Very few knew about Force Recon Marine or MARSOC Marines. They're just as good, equally strong fighting warriors. Or Delta Force. They're all the same grade. But, Navy SEALs have buds, which is probably the most brutal hell week in the world, as they like to call it, where nobody sleeps for a week and it's 24 hours a day of exercise 7 days a week. And, because of that, it's got all this publicity because it's the hardest selection overall. So do the hardest thing. I remember I always picked the hardest thing. When everybody else was doing programming, I said, why would I do that? Everybody's doing programming. I'm not going to get paid anything as a programmer. Nobody's doing networking. That's tough. So I picked networking. Always do the hardest thing, Fidaki. Separate yourself. Be 10% better than the rest. Not only will you always be hired, the world will chase you and you will have every last opportunity in the world. So be the best. Don't be average at anything. Average gets laid off. In fact, I'm going to say this right now, and I hate to say this. Of all the people that are getting laid off, it's the bottom 10%. It all started with Jack Welch, as people like to call him Neutron Jack. And what he said was many years ago, and he was so right. If you look at any winning company, once a year they get rid of the bottom 5 to 10%. And here's why. The bottom 5 to 10% drag everybody down. So if you've got a team and you've got really great people like Chris and Alonzo, and they're incredible, and I had people in the same jobs that weren't performing, Chris and Alonzo would leave. They'd say, you got dead weight hanging around doing nothing, and they're getting paid the same as me. I'm out of here on somebody that reports me.
And I have left. Not you, but I have left.
And I have too.
Yeah.
I've left organizations. I was at one company and my manager said, you're awesome. Here's your 0.5% raise.
You want to know the funny part? When I left, this is the mind-blowing part. When I left, I guess he was the president. Yeah, he's the president. As soon as I notified him that I was leaving, and scheduled a meeting with me, of course, and in the course of the meeting, basically said, "I'll give you full control of the company." It's like, wow. Okay, let's talk about this. Why now?
Yeah, that's the question I asked.
So, but anyway, yeah, yeah, but if it's indicative, if you're in a situation where the low performers or non-performers are being treated the same as the high performers, there's so much more underneath the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I wasn't shocked that was their reaction, but it's funny when if you are the high performer and you say, nope, I'm done with it. The things that all of a sudden become possible.
Yeah, it's true. I remember on my first tech job, I had a nice manager, but it was a company where everybody was equal. And my manager says to me, "It's your review." He says, "The good news is you're the best guy on the team. The bad news is everybody gets an average here. And because it's financially not good, I can give you a $500 raise." And I said, "Thank you." And I got a $100,000 raise at another company, and I started 2 weeks later. The second time that actually happened to me, I was a principal architect, and it was my first principal architect job. and they had a director of systems engineering and architecture position open, and I wanted it. And I said to my manager, I said, hey, I really like this position. The VP in the West supports it. The VP in Europe supports it. I wanted to talk to you about it. And my manager says, Mike, you're the best architect we've got in the company. You're responsible for 20% of our revenue. I can't let you leave this job. And I said, so let me ask this one question. Are you telling me I did such a good job that I can't move up? And he said, yes. I said, here's my 2 weeks notice. I'm going to Cisco. And he said, huh? What? and then he said, okay, instead of that director, we can make you a VP. And I said, no, thank you. You weren't there when I needed you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And then I went to Cisco when it was the best decision of my life. I love being at Cisco more than any company. I still feel it's the greatest tech company in the world.
And remember, at the end of the day, because I got plenty of stories, I don't want to detract from it. Know your worth, apply and understand who you are, what you bring to the table, how you affect change. What would happen if you stay? What would happen if you leave? And think about, you are in control of your career ship. So ensure that you know your value, know what you bring to the table. If someone else tries to suppress that, or you're averaging in when you're a high performer and yet everyone else is taking the credit or receiving the credit, it's time to go. So
absolutely
be cognizant of your career and take the appropriate steps.
Yeah, I think to wrap it up, I know I need to get on with the show. I'm supposed to be the guy that keeps us in control, but I think I love Dr. Johnson out from the University of Tennessee, Martin. I love his philosophy. He didn't always do this, but he started to probably in the past 10 or 15 years in group projects in class. There's always the person that doesn't do anything as part of the group. And everybody always gets mad at this person because they didn't put in any effort, and they end up getting the same grade. Dr. Johnson and Dr. Long allow their groups to fire people. So if you're part of the group project and you're not performing, you can be fired by your team or not performing.
I wish that was in my MBA program.
Yeah. Oh, this is in their undergrad too. I love it. Like he doesn't wait till grad school to let him fire him. He lets them do it in undergrad.
Very smart.
Yeah, I love it. It's great.
Plus, to be honest, that teaches you the skill of when you unfortunately have to fire people, because I got to tell you, that's the worst feeling in the world.
Yep. I completely agree. Actually, no. Laying somebody off is worse. Is a worse feeling than firing somebody.
Yeah.
But that one doesn't. That one's not as necessary as often. Speaking of layoffs, you were mentioning that the people in the layoffs are usually the lower performer, or the ones that do not bring in the money. I'm sure everyone saw the announcement today from Facebook, which I think it was 2 weeks ago now. Alonzo, I made my offhand comment 2 weeks ago that says, let's see what happens with Facebook this week. That was 2 weeks ago.
We call that foreshadowing.
Yeah, that's called being able to tell the future. But yeah, no, 2 weeks ago I said, let's see what happens this week. Well, it took a little bit longer than 2 weeks ago, but they announced it that they are not only are they laying off 10,000 people, but they are not filling. I was going to say eliminating, but not filling 5,000 other positions. But buried in that announcement is who and when. They specifically said first, the tech roles will be eliminated.
Right.
And then they said business roles will be affected. The reason they do that, everybody, if you bothered to read the announcements, that's what they said. They specifically said tech first, business second. The reason they do that is because even though it's a very small likelihood that they'll see anything from that first round of layoffs as quick as they want, the reason they do it is because if they do see something good from that first round of layoffs, those business people may not have to be let go.
Exactly.
So I was surprised at how blunt, to be blunt, I was surprised at how blunt Facebook was.
Could you repeat that again? I
Yeah,
think
we're
that
not
needs
used
to
to them
be.
being honest.
Yeah.
You're talking about the tech before the business part? Yeah. So Facebook in their official announcement said 10,000 jobs being eliminated, 5,000 positions not being filled. Tech roles will go first. Business roles will go second.
And it always goes this way. So architects are business roles. Sales executives are business roles. Product managers are business roles. So anything that brings money into the company, they're going to need in a recession. Anything that takes money out of the company, well, they get rid of. They get rid of marketing people because marketing doesn't generate sales closely, and it's pretty sad, but they do. They get rid of tech support people because they figure we can always have poor customer service for a little while and survive it, and they can do it. They get rid of back-end engineers, and they replace them. It's not like they're going to completely go, but they're going to get rid of the $200,000 engineers in the U.S. and hire a $50,000 engineer in India. Who's going to not do two things? One,
they'll get rid of 3 of those 200,000 people and hire 1 of those 50,000.
yes.
That's the bad part. I mean,
And what'll happen is the people that were used to working in California and eating sushi all day and playing ping pong and wiffle ball will be replaced by somebody in India that's going to get a good salary, be very well off, and really be excited to work. And that's the future. I mean, I think all the engineering roles are going to go to Africa and India and Pakistan and Asia because there's so many really good people that want to work really hard. And they're not on TikTok quiet quitting, and they're not doing, what's the new terms? They're not quiet quitting. Lazy Mondays, where you go in and try to do nothing on Mondays.
that's my most productive day. I don't
Yeah.
care.
It's a mindset. I like to get after it. I like to really, that's my first day to really get after things, reach some goals, help transform things, get people hyped up and excited about what is the next day going to bring and how am I going to be able to get that much closer to my goals. So why would you sit there? And it says a lot like, okay, it's lazy Monday. I don't want to do anything. I'm not motivated. So what does motivate you? Why are you there? Why aren't you making change with your life, with your future, with your career? So that type of trend says a whole lot about people.
Yeah. All right, guys. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about, which is not really anything. So as I said earlier, welcome to the Seinfeld episode, the show about nothing. Anyway, so let's. I want to take the opportunity to reflect. So obviously, for those that don't know, Mike started Go Cloud Architects in 2021 after years of what I guess you would call one-on-one career coaching and training and mentorship. He did not mean to start Go Cloud Architects. And if you were here at the beginning, that was very evident. So 2 years ago this Friday, Mike started Go Cloud Architects. I'm trying to remember, how did I use? I think I came up with that date based on, I think it was the first purchase. So I guess in a way you started it before that by accident. But yeah, Mike started it by putting some videos up, and people apparently liked what Mike had to offer and said, "Take my money."
Exactly what happened. Before I even had a product, they were begging me to create a course.
Yeah. So, so a year went by. I joined Mike. I convinced Mike. You actually had something here. Like, no, I'll never get more than 50 people. Yeah. I'm like, Mike,
how many people are on here today?
Yeah, right. There's 50 right now. There's 50 people here on YouTube. So right now. But yeah. So no, I eventually joined Mike, and then Leo joined us, and people kept joining us along the way. And then a year ago tomorrow, we did our first episode of Head in the Clouds. We had done some live stream specials before that. Obviously, if you were with us back then, we were doing something live like every day. I don't know how. it's like a haze.
Yeah, we were.
It's like a haze. It was a very, very, very dark time. we were doing something live every day, but we didn't really have any consistency to it. So we decided to, hey, let's do a weekly show. And if we say we're going to do a weekly show, then we got to do a weekly show. It was kind of one of those things. If I say I'm going to do it, we're going to have to do it. So let's say we're going to do it. So we said we were going to do it. And here we are a year later. We've done it. Apparently we've had 45 episodes, which is pretty good considering, we don't do episodes during some certain holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving week. I don't think we did. Actually, no, we did. We did a Thanksgiving special. I forgot about that. But for us to go an entire year, I think, is an amazing feat. If you know anything about me, Mike, and Alonzo. So if I could, I'd like to ask each of you, and nobody knows, for everybody that's watching, Mike and Alonzo have no idea what I'm about to do. They have no idea what's in store for the show. If you guys could, just off the top of your head, what would you say has been your favorite episode of Head in the Clouds the past year?
Oh man, we have to
Don't
pick
think
one.
about it. Just
I love the books. I love the book discussion. That is
stole
one of my favorite ones. I stole it, Chris. But it was. We had so many opportunities to discuss our cerebral aspects, our perspectives on life, how we're able to successfully navigate through our careers, how other people can be successful based on what we've learned and how we've applied the books. We even left a list of books for people to have in the Slack channel. I loved it. I loved it.
I love that one, but I really love the one that Chris had set up for my birthday, which I had no idea about. My brother came here from Philadelphia, and Chris knows that I love when my students get hired. In fact, I'm kind of embarrassed about it because I used to do Olympic weightlifting and I practiced martial arts for upwards of 30 years. And every time somebody gets hired, my students see it in every class it always brings me to tears because I grew up very poor. And I remember what it was like when I got my first architect job and my first big tech job because I broke the rules. And let's be fair, I shattered what everybody else did. I always go past the status quo. I offended all the certification providers when I told everybody and made enemies everywhere. None of this is ever going to get you hired. In fact, I decided to actually offer free certification training because what they were doing out there was so bad. I didn't want anybody to buy it. I decided to just do certification training for free. And when I got to see the community come together, students of mine, all these people that got hired, and all these people who we didn't even train, who watched our YouTube videos, still gotten hired in jobs that were beyond their wildest dreams, that one really got me. My brother was here. And when he just saw it, he's like, "Oh my God, Mike," he says, "every time I call you, if it's 6 o'clock in the morning or midnight, you're still working on your students." He said, "It's Saturday, it's Sunday. I don't think you've had a day off in about a year." And I'm like, "You're right, I haven't. It's been about a year and a half." And he says to me, "You got to start taking your help. Look at your students. You got so many people you got to help."
Well, since Alonzo stole mine, because I don't want to give the same one. There's three of us, so I want to have three different options. I gotta think. See, I have the benefit of. Let me read the list of let me see. I got a list here. See, you guys don't have a list. I got the list.
See, oh yeah, Chris isn't playing fair, and he's saying that I stole. We see how Chris plays now.
All right. So actually, okay, so it's not fair because I have the list because I'm gonna set you guys up for some other questions.
I
So,
see.
it's not fair because I have the list. So I'll just I think the first show where we had Dr. Johnson on here because that one was completely unexpected.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, Dr. Johnson is actually my dad. So for me to have the opportunity to collaborate with my father in a professional manner to benefit people is something special to me because I've seen what he's been able to do for other people my entire life. And now I, in a way, am able to do that same thing. I'm able to help other people and have people look to me for guidance. And sometimes it's weird, but because every time it happens, I think about my dad. But the first time that we had Dr. Johnson on here, I don't know, it probably seems weird to all of y'all that I call him Dr. Johnson, but trust me, he was Dr. Johnson or Dr. J for like 40 years. I'm 36, so he's Dr. J. He's in my phone as Dr. J. He's in my wife's phone as Dr. J. So, but yeah, I think that's my favorite one because it was the first. It wasn't the first time that we had worked on something together. We've worked on things in the past, in our roles as consultants, but that was different. That was consulting and helping businesses and organizations. This is working together to help individuals and people better themselves and improve their lives. So that is that was probably my favorite episode by itself. Yeah. So I got a few more. I got some more like that to get to. I got some things that I want to look at in the chat box here. Let me make sure. Okay, got that one. I just want to make sure I don't get too far behind on this chat box over here.
It's always fun.
Okay. G says, what would be the best way to demonstrate or have a portfolio of architecture design skills? Architecture design skills. Software engineers have GitHub, and I was wondering what would be the cloud architect equivalent.
I'm going to address this. Doctors don't go on their first day on the job and say, here's the patients I've treated. And airplane pilots don't have photos of them in a cockpit. It's going to be very clear when you go on an interview. They're going to ask you a question and assess your competency. I can spot a fake in about 3 seconds. So on your CV or your resume, you'll have a list of things that you've done. But professional jobs aren't about a portfolio. Software engineers do all this Git nonsense, and here's what happens. They go in a portfolio, we interview them, we don't hire them anyway. Because nobody cares about that portfolio. It's silly. They care about what you can do. If they wanted you to have a coding test, they're going to give you one. Why does a portfolio completely worthless? Because I can have my buddy do it for me. There's no way to know that you've actually done it. Now, they're going to ask you questions, and it's clear. My students have a list of things that they've done. Set up an environment for a banking client, designed a social media organization, set up global retailers. But in the end of the day, none of it matters is when they ask them, how did you do it? What's in it? They're going to be able to describe it. See, architecture is all about soft skills and communication skills. It's why I offended all the certification providers, because they were all giving people these worthless things, Git projects, Linux projects, Terraform projects, when as architects we design, present, and sell. You're going to go in there, you're going to spot an architect. I've never had a portfolio of anything, any architect job. And if somebody tried to present a portfolio to me, I'd kick them out of the room. I'd say, sorry, you're an engineer. Architects whiteboard. Architects present. So on these interviews, geez, it's about showing your leadership skills. It's about showing your emotional intelligence. It's about describing something very clear. For BGP, prefer the path with the highest weight, prefer the path with the highest local preference, etc., and go down the list and know it. It's all about how you describe it. And that's really what it is. It's descriptive. When it comes to big jobs, they're all architect jobs. I'll give you an example. The CEO is the architect of the business. They design the business strategy. The chief operating officer is the architect of how the business is going to function and get everything done. The chief marketing officer is the architect of the marketing plan and the branding plan. The chief financial officer is the architect that determines how the organization is going to spend its money and utilize its financial resources. They don't show up with portfolios. Portfolios are for lower level jobs. And yes, software engineers are a lower level job. Now, we need software engineers, but the reason they're a lower level is not because their skill's not valuable. That's not the case. They're a commodity. Why? Everybody in college learns programming if they study computers. You can learn programming on your own on the internet, and by the time you're done, there's millions and millions and millions of programmers. So when we hit that almighty supply and demand curve, supply versus demand, they're a commodity. So they're trying to stand out. Gee, I interviewed 1,000 AWS certified people before I decided to start this company. And believe me, I offended a lot of people when I went out there and interviewed all those certification providers people, and I asked them, describe how you would design a high availability system to me. They didn't know. How would you share across two equal cost paths without getting out of our packets, like two direct connections? Nobody knew. How would you architect a secure demilitarized zone? Nobody knew. Why is it essential to have multi-clouds? Nobody knew. How would you architect a DNS situation for multiple clouds? Nobody knew. How would you improve business performance? What are your options? Nobody knew. How would you convince me to buy this $200 million architecture? Nobody knew. I even went as simple as asked them basic questions of nothing about virtual machines, and they didn't even know that. But they knew the name of a service and how to configure it. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. It's not about your portfolio. It's about the knowledge in your head and how well you can communicate that to others. That's the equivalent.
I like Alex's comment here. Best compliment he ever got was the manager saying, "I didn't know how important you were until I had to hire someone else."
Oh, yeah.
That's an exceptionally good compliment, Alex.
I like that, Alex.
I like that. Kalatupis. It's a very good example.
Yeah, we need to throw that in the chat.
Absolutely.
Wow, yeah.
All right.
Alex is a very special, very good architect.
And here you go, Micah. Never take the counter offer. If they mistreated you once, they will do it again. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Mikey, you're right. But another reason you don't take the counter offer. First, if they mistreated you once, they'll do it again. But secondly, the second you try to leave, you've shown disloyalty. So, well, they move you into a better role. Then next time there is a layoff going on, you're the first to go. Why are you the first to go? Even they wanted to keep you now? Because you're disloyal. And they're always going to hold someone that's more loyal. So never take the counteroffer.
And think about this: whoever didn't, where they gave you a counteroffer, obviously someone noticed that you were leaving. That put that manager on the spot, made them look bad, and forced them to give you that counteroffer. They didn't really want to. So, when you think about looking under the underbelly of politics, there's a whole lot going on for that. So, yeah, it's true and it's real. Don't take the counteroffer ever.
All right, here's a fun one. Gentlemen, I'm going to answer this one. So Fakita says, I saw some bad reviews online. I was concerned. People saying the videos weren't worth the money. Reddit reviews Review was 1 year old. Has the program gotten any better?
Wow.
So I'm going to start off with, I'm going to mute you guys if I have to. So I'm going to start off with saying Reddit is not the best place to get information. To be completely honest, it is a bunch of keyboard warriors hiding behind usernames with no accountability. With that being said, I've had the unfortunate responsibility to look at Reddit for what people have to say, and even when you dive into some of these reviews that people leave, I've seen the latest one I saw. Someone specifically asked the reviewer if they were in the program, and the person didn't answer the question directly. So that right there was a clear indication that the person isn't even in the program. So while obviously not every training is for every single person, we understand that some people may not be satisfied with training. That's perfectly fine. Just like some people shouldn't be satisfied with Udemy training. I don't know what review someone could provide that's purely based on just video content, since our program is not just video. So you were on our webinar, you heard everything about our program, you've had the opportunity to ask us a lot of questions, but if someone's giving reviews about single parts of the program, I venture to guess that they didn't buy in to the program. I've had people that have actually sent emails saying that they didn't think the program was for them. I respond to them and I say, I see from your progress that you've only done X, Y, and Z. And that you haven't taken the opportunity to attend any live classes. Can you tell me why you think the program isn't a good fit? Maybe there's something you're not seeing, or maybe something you're not that we need to make sure you understand. And then they respond and say, you know what, I didn't actually give it the chance. I'm gonna give it another shot. I'm like, okay, maybe you should give it the chance. Maybe you should do the program, do the work, listen to what we have to say, and do the assignments. A lot of times, what people say, the things that you see from people that are on places like Reddit are not completely truthful, or they come from someone who hasn't actually taken the opportunity to do the program. So again, I'm just basing this off of what you shared here. Reddit is not the best place to get feedback. LinkedIn is a great place because there's accountability there. People know who I am and what I say when I say it. People know who you are and who you are and what you say when you say it on LinkedIn. There's accountability to it. We actually even provide content about how to find useful and helpful and resourceful information from reliable sources. Reddit is not a reliable source. Now, Reddit is great for many other things. Sharing recipes, sharing cat videos, sharing memes, video games, movies, hobbies, tips for how to deal with crazy guests at a hotel when you're working the front desk. Trust me, it's great. But getting information on how to improve your career opportunities, probably not the best place to get your information. We attempted to try and share helpful information on Reddit. They didn't like it. We share the same information on LinkedIn and YouTube. Apparently, they like it. So we share the exact same information in all three places, but we stopped sharing information in Reddit because people just thought that it wasn't helpful. So because they knew better, and they're still on Reddit. But yeah, that's I would not go to Reddit to get to get the information to earn $200,000 a year.
And Chris, I'm not even gonna discuss Reddit. I'm just gonna say one thing. My students, why don't you provide those that are on this call what you think of our program? And we were rated #1 cloud computing school for a reason last year. And there's a reason over 100 magazines and TV stations published it. I don't go to Reddit for anything. So I'm going to go back to you, so and avoid the distraction.
All right. So Kevin says, with no security experience, Mike said, don't bother with CompTIA Security Plus. Exactly. My question is, which ISC2 to get? Do I go for CISSP or CCSP, even if I don't have the required? So CISSP or CCSP?
Kevin, don't bother with the CCSP either. Only the CISSP. Here's the reason. It's the only thing that chief information officers care about. Who does the hiring? Chief information officers. They hire the VP, the directors, and the IT. So, here's a good article that's out there. Of the 15 certifications that are valuable in 2022, the first one is the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. The second one is the Certified Information Security Manager. The third one is the Google Professional Cloud Architect. The fourth one is the CISSP. The fifth one is the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate. And I'm looking for other security certifications. And it's not many. And the CCSP is not on there. Here's the thing. Security is security. Whether it's on the cloud or off the cloud, it's the same thing. Kevin, nobody's going to be crazy enough to use AWS security services if they care. Nobody's going to be using Azure security services or Google security services. They're going to be using the real deal from Palo Alto, Fortinet, Cisco, Checkpoint, etc. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So go for the CISSP. And if you don't have the 5 years, it doesn't matter. You'll pass the exam. You'll be allowed to call yourself a CISSP associate. Now, what's going to happen is everybody's going to know that you passed the full CISSP exam, including the hiring managers. And what'll happen is at the end of 5 years, whenever you have it, you'll be a full CISSP. But don't waste your time on anything other than that. The CISSP is considered the king of architecture certifications and the queen all at the same time.
All right. Okay. All right. So let's move on. And I got, like I said, I got the list. I'm not sharing the list with you guys.
Okay, Chris.
No matter how many text messages you send me over here.
You see, you've heard it from here, ladies and gentlemen. Chris, my brother and teammate, is stingy.
Yes. Hey, it makes for good TV.
Stingy.
All right. So, okay. So over the past year, I'm going to go all the way back. So I'm going to go through some episodes that don't include guests.
Okay.
So I'm going to do 5 at a time because I don't think it's fair to ask you guys to remember all of them. And yeah, that's I don't think that's fair. All right. So we're going to do these in 5 episode chunks. We got the very first show where we talked about our student success, our training, our program, and all that stuff. Then our next show was about the multi-cloud and the hybrid cloud. The one after that was about OpenStack and Nutanix. And the one after that was emotional intelligence for leaders and traits of successful people.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
I
like that one.
So okay, I don't even have to ask which out of those 4 was your favorite. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun working that one.
Yeah, because that one is where we talked about influence and emotional intelligence and how to properly utilize influence. to accomplish goals, whether they be your goals or the company goals. That was
There
a
are a
good
lot of
conversation.
parallels with what's that book? Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, the Dale Carnegie book. That's a good
Yep.
one.
Speaking of which, there's been lots of Dale Carnegie quotes in the chat box today.
Awesome.
I love Dale Carnegie.
I recommend that book to everyone.
Not only did I read it when I was like 10 years old because it was recommended to me, because when I was younger, I always asked every person that my parents knew that was rich, I used to ask them, what's your secret and what should I read? And that's when I really started reading those books. But I actually lived in Princeton, New Jersey, right next to the Dale Carnegie Institute. So I have a little familiarity with that.
Dev Singh asked, how long is the program? So the program is as long as you need it to be. It's self-paced. So you have access to 3 live classes a week for an entire year, but you have access to all of our content for as long as you need it. So the program has a structure to it, and you can progress through it as quickly or as slowly as you need to. Usually we see people with tech experience around 6 to 8 months, people with no experience, 8 to 12 months. We've seen some people do it in 3 weeks. So it depends on you, but it's self-paced. We're not a boot camp mill. We don't give you 16 weeks and kick you to the curb and say, get the best job you can get with whatever money they offer. And wish you luck on the way out. We expect you to get hired while you're in the program at the pace that is appropriate for you. So.
Absolutely. And the key is you're in the program until you're hired. And it doesn't matter where you're at in the world. Got students getting hired in the US, Canada, India, Pakistan, Australia, New Zealand, all over Asia, all over.
Mike, I gave you a list of 50 names. You only get 5 countries.
I only get 5 countries.
This is what happens after the curtain is pulled.
Okay, I'll give you 10 countries.
10. All right, so U.S., Canada, Australia, Germany, France, England, India. How many is that I've listed so far? South Africa,
Sweden,
Denmark.
Denmark. Actually, we got people in every country. What's
Germany?
that?
Did you say Germany? You said Germany, yeah.
I think I said Germany.
Yeah.
Ethiopia, yes.
Yeah, we've gotten people in Ethiopia, people in Nigeria.
All right. So let's move on to our next batch of shows. So we've got what our training is like. I'm not going to say favorite books because you already included that one. So what our training is like, Linux for cloud computing, Chris on vacation, types of engineers, and blockchain. Which was your favorite out of those? Do I need to go over the list again?
One more time.
All right.
Because that's neck and neck.
What are trainings like? Linux for cloud computing, Chris on vacation, types of engineers, and blockchain.
I like Chris on vacation because you had that picture when you were on the whatchamacallit. So that was fun when you came in and you had fun. That was a good time. That's my vote.
I actually enjoyed that one too.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Popped in for a few minutes and he was totally relaxed. And that was kind of like the free-for-all that it would naturally be.
Yes, exactly. There's a reason we called it the freestyle.
Yeah, in those kind of things.
I gotta say, Chris on vacation was a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, I like it. It was very enjoyable for me. We might be having a part 2 coming up. Anyway, let me get rid of this background. Chris is not on vacation right now. All right. So after that, this one's going to be a good batch. Recession proof.
I enjoyed that one.
No. You got to pick. I'm going to give you 4. Recession proof, accountability and integrity, leading with influence, and architect career mistakes.
Oh, come on, man.
I'm going in chronological
Take 'em all.
order. We might have had some good stretches where it was just like
Wow.
must-see TV. All
I think
right,
it was
so we
leading with
got
influence for me.
recession-proof, accountability and integrity, leading with influence, and architect career mistakes.
Oh, I
Dang.
like the architect career mistakes one too.
That's tough. All I can do is just top from my favorite. They're all my favorites, but tier favorite A, favorite B, favorite C, and favorite D. That's the only way I can go with that. But the architecture one was number 2, but my first one might have been the what was I can't remember the name of it, but I remember the show. Lay out the selections one more time.
Let's see. Okay. Recession proof, accountability and integrity, leading with influence, architect career mistakes.
Leading with influence, architectural mistakes. Those are my top 2.
And I mean, it would have been the career mistakes, but I'm constantly coaching people on all the things that they mistake, which is typically trying to become an engineer and mix it up with an architect.
Yeah.
And I've always been a fan on influence leadership and Robert Cialdini's work and all the other psychology behind that. So that was probably mine, because I think we all know that in addition to practicing medicine in my youth, in addition to being an architect, I've always been a behavioral scientist, and that's part of the secrets of us helping people get jobs they never could by knowing how to influence the hiring managers and building the brand. So it's all about influence for me.
So I think accountability and integrity is my number 1. And recession proof is my number 2.
Okay.
That was a tough batch.
Yeah.
This is kind of like March. This is kind of like March Madness. You know, you got like these four teams, even though they might be like seeds apart from each other.
That's what it is. Like, what's the number 1 seed here?
Man, we got these 4 teams in the same bracket. Okay.
Like, what is the number 1 seed here?
Man, if Mike, if you hadn't asked me yesterday what I got prepared, I could have had a whole March Madness thing, like bracket of episodes done up. That would have been great. Actually, I might do that anyway and use either views or watch time as the measurement of who wins them. I'm gonna do that. Actually, I'm gonna do that. We're gonna do a March Madness bracket of Head in the Clouds episodes. I like that idea.
I like that. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
That sounds fun to me.
All right. For those of you that I'm not sure how familiar people outside the U.S. are with March Madness, but March Madness is our collegiate basketball tournament in the U.S. where 68 teams compete for the national championship. So, hence why it's called Madness, because 68 teams play a tournament over the course of 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And yeah. All right, our next 4. I'm not doing the happy birthday show. It's in this 4, so I'm going to skip it because that doesn't count. Like that's an automatic, like
that's the bonus round.
That's an automatic number 1 seed. Like that doesn't count. They get a bye. All right, so we got tech jobs of the future. Tech jobs of the future. Personal responsibility, work-life harmony, and asking for advice.
Personal responsibility and asking for advice. I just can't decide on just one anymore. So it's got to be a 1 and a 2 for me.
So what were your 1 and 2?
Yep.
Wait, what were they?
What was that? Personal responsibility and asking for advice. That was a really good show. But personal responsibility and the applications that we discussed We had a really nice roundtable on that one.
Yeah.
We did, but how to find information for me? See, 99% of the population doesn't know where to get good information. They don't know to go to Forbes or Business Week or a published journal, and they look up garbage sites and they get garbage answers. And what they typically find is the person that's never done it before giving them their advice, and being able to show people how to do it the same way doctors learn how to get the right guidance. And I know all about that from practicing medicine in my first career, or being an architect and learning how to get the right information versus the stuff that's out there. That one for me was something I really enjoyed doing.
Mine, work-life balance, work-life harmony, and personal responsibility are my top two out of those four. My reason being is I wanted to put personal responsibility first, but work-life harmony won out because I think too many people, too many people fall into the trap of the balance thing and thinking that it has to add up perfectly all the time.
Never. Life never does.
Right. Life does not
The more
balance
you
out.
plan
It
life,
does not
the more
balance
life
out.
plans you.
There is no balance in life. So
Mm-mm. Believe me, with my
Yeah.
life, I've tried. You gotta give where you've got to give being a husband, being a father, being a part of this awesome company, being a lifelong student of cloud architecture. You have to figure out and balance. You may have to spend more time here, more time there, but at the end of the day, you have to. Those facets are kind of like herding cats. It never goes the way you want,
So
but
kind
you
of like
have
my
to
job.
still scoot them along.
Kind of like what I have to do every day.
Yeah. you gotta find balance when you can, how you can, where you can.
Harmony, not
Yeah.
balance. Harmony.
Harmony, yes,
Don't say the B
yes.
word.
Harmony. We never. Yeah, you gotta find the harmony, not because it'll never be balanced.
Right.
You have to take advantage of how you can. If I have to stay up a little later to help my son do his homework, or I have to work on a little graphics when I have the time to do X, Y, and Z, or the my wife is not loading me up with honeydew lists. Find the harmony where you can. So
Yep.
there is no silver bullet to quantifying how much time you need per hour, per day, per week. It's all about how is it going to fit into your life? How is it going to fit into what you're asked of by your profession, by your family, children, wife, or whatever. So it's you can't quantify life like that, but try to fit it in as best you can and continue on. The one thing that you're in charge of is your consistency. It may not be the exact time per day, per minute, but if you can just commit a minimum of 15 minutes, a minimum of half an hour per day, then you'll get there. One slice stacked on top of each other eventually equals a loaf. Look at it that way.
Alonzo, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that work-life harmony might have actually been your number one out of that four.
You know what? I think maybe you're right. I
just gonna say. I mean, you're going out here and
I think maybe you've it was subliminal. I have to readjust my priority list.
Yeah, the reason that was number one out of those four for me was just because I think it's an important topic that people needed that needed to be talked about, and people needed to be told what they didn't want to hear.
Yeah,
kind of like Reddit. Sorry, I couldn't help it. All right. We know what Mike's favorite part of every Head in the Clouds episode is. That would be the cat alert.
You saw her behind me. And
she went away. She went away. Yeah, Mike's favorite part of every episode is the cat alert.
It is when my little cat Cindy comes into the room. So I was always a dog person. And I either wanted a German Shepherd, a Balinese Malinois, or a Golden Retriever. And I know they're like at the opposite sides. And my wife says, I want a cat, I want a cat, I want a cat. So I go to the cat rescue. I bring home a cat. The cat becomes like the coolest thing in the world to me. She sleeps between my arm and my ribs. She follows me from room to room. I love when my cat comes and visits me. You know, if you want to bring up Dev's thing, I want to address it.
Yes. So I'm going to bring up a couple of them just because there's a couple of them. I know a lot of people have been responding as well. So Dev says, what is the approximate timeline for doing everything covered in the course and going out there and getting hired? And after finishing the course and getting hired, do I still have access to the mentors and teachers and curriculum? And then still want to gauge an approximate time if you're conducting without interruptions. Reason I'm asking, I just need to take time out of the job to put effort into it and get hired as a solutions architect.
And I want to answer this as bluntly and honestly as possible. No one can give you the amount of time. And here's why. We're not engineers, we're architects, and it's a very different situation. You may be able to learn the technology in 2 weeks, you might, but it might take you a year to learn how to sell like an architect. It takes on average of 8 to 12 months, but you're in our program until you're hired. And no, you don't need to take time off work. Most of our people work full time. We've had people get through that were driving Ubers, working as a waiter, and we've also had people that are working as tech professionals. But you're going to get hired in the program, not after the program, and it typically takes about 8 to 12 months. Now, that's going to be dependent upon you. Could you get through in 6 months if you studied more? Maybe. But what you're going to find in most cases is it's actually not the technology that's the hard part. That's nothing. I could teach you the technology in 2 months and you'd understand it. But it's knowing how to build an architecture team, learning how to relate to a C-level executive, learning how to sell, learning how to present, learning how to do the ROI modeling to show the customer, learning how to respond to RFIs, RFPs, RFQs. And I can't give you a time frame that's going to be exact, because if I did, it would be lying to you, and it's not fair to you. We are very honest and ethical, and 100% of what my leadership team does is focus on its students. They're busy beyond belief doing it, but I can't give you that. It's not like I can guarantee you're going to learn it, because I don't know how fast you learn. If you've got an IQ of 170 like my wife, which is 7 standard deviations above genius level, it's going to be easy for you. Likewise, if you can read 1,000 pages a day like me, you can do it much faster. But maybe you can't. And I don't know that about you. And I want you to get hired, and I'm going to be open, honest, and ethical with you. It takes on average of 8 to 12 months. And it takes for people with a tech background between 6 and 10 months on average. But the end result is you'll be hired inside of our program. Like I just read you off a list of 50 because Chris would only allow me to talk about 50 people that got hired. Yeah. At least 50% of them didn't work in tech. They were serving food in restaurants. They were driving Ubers. They were working on ambulances, and they still got hired as architects. So the key is, I want you to know you will be hired. How long it's going to take you, I don't know. 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, 12 months. But I can guarantee you one thing, you won't be kicked out of the program until you're hired. You'll be hired. Now, as far as afterwards, sure, you'll have access to the recorded content. Or you can work with some of the other people. For example, we have lots of our students that graduate that continue to work with others. Now, as far as access to the instructors, we've got programs after you graduate to help you earn more money in tech and build a brighter future. But our job is done once you're hired. We get you hired, and we get you a salary that would take normally, and because I come from medicine, I know what it takes like to go to school for 8 years. And most physicians who have $300,000 US dollars of debt earn less than the average architect. Most lawyers who take over $300,000 of training and 7 years in school still earn less than our average graduate. So, but there is that. But it's going to take you 8 to 12 months if I had to put a time down. But you could get the flu and be out for a month, and it might take a month longer too. Just life happens, and we're there for you.
All right. I think Mike did a good job answering that, so I don't think there's any need for me to provide any input. Alonso?
You said it best. Yeah. That's why I'm quiet.
All right. Okay, so let's get on with our review here. All right, so next we've got our next 4: importance of reading, cloud career confusion, a freestyle edition between me and Alonzo, where we brought in, you remember we brought in those, I think there was like 5 or 6 people that we brought in. We had Angelo join us, we had my dad join us, we had several other people that joined us while Mike was sick and recovering. So we got the importance of reading, the cloud career confusion, that freestyle edition, and then the Thanksgiving episode.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is fair.
Come on, man.
I'm just gonna put it up there. Thanksgiving was number 1 out of that 4, and then
Okay.
I think freestyle for after that, and then I think importance. Ooh,
You did this, just so we know. You did this.
importance of reading is a good one too.
Oh man, the freestyle.
Okay. Thanksgiving can't count because Tom Turkey was a guest. That's a guest episode, so
Okay.
that's not in there. Freestyle can't count either because there were 6 guests. I forget. Remember, I'm only doing ones that we didn't have guests. So
Okay.
forgot. Tom Turkey was a guest, so I can't. He's not included. The freestyle had 6 guests, so that definitely can't count. All right. Okay. All right. So, importance of reading, cloud career confusion. What motivates us to do what we do?
Oh, I like that one.
And then I'm combining the New Year's resolutions 1 and 2.
That's really not better, but we'll go for it. That's really
all right. So backwards: New Year's resolutions. What motivates us to do what we do? Cloud career confusion, and importance of reading.
Why we do what we do, and the importance of reading. Those are my top 2.
And this is why Alonzo and I are so similar. On the cloud career confusion, because 90% of the people plus confuse engineering and architecture, and they waste years of their time learning engineering, and in the end they have to unlearn everything they've learned only to be retrained as an architect. So I'd say that's probably my primary one out of the 2. But reading and the importance of reading, as someone that's always read until I started this company, and now I barely have time to eat or see my wife on a good day, I always read 3 books per week to the last my entire life. It always made me better. I learned really young. I used to ask my parents' friends that were rich any advice, and they'd say, readers are leaders, go read. And then I asked them what they read, and I would always read it. And it's funny, by the time I was a kid, I had jobs that people would have in their 30s and 40s, and I didn't even get past 20 something because I learned from those others. So reading is amazing.
Yeah, I think importance of reading and what motivates us out of that are my 2. All right, our next ones. There's only 3 in the next one. Pretty sure I know the answer. Actually, I don't know if I know the answer. All right, so we got ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on why it matters. Me and Alonzo and Dr. Johns. That's a guest. That doesn't count. All right, so we only got 2. ChatGPT and TLDR.
Ooh.
Well, I'm letting you guys
First.
think about that. I did see a comment on one of our on the TLDR thing. Mike, you probably saw the comment. It said the irony of a 2-hour live stream about too long didn't read.
Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't understand it. Our whole theory was that you should take
funny.
the time to go through all the details, and that was the whole point. So I didn't completely get that.
Right. I mean, we're telling people that you can't do TLDR by doing a 2-hour live stream.
Well, yeah, that's the whole
You
point.
got to put in 2 hours to hear why you can't. Why TLDR is going to kill your career.
Okay, who said that? I'm looking for it now.
It was a great comment. I loved it.
Oh my God, it's a circus in here right now. If you could see what's going on in my house, my cat is tearing my closet apart because a lizard got in that she brought in earlier that escaped her. I hear stuff being shaking and falling over.
Just wait till the tail pops off. Yeah.
I really The too long didn't read, but I really like the ChatGPT because ChatGPT is such disruptive technology. ChatGPT is a boom for cloud architects getting hired, but it's going to kill programming careers and cloud engineering careers and any of these engineering careers. So I really like getting it out there so people would know how to protect themselves to move to architecture and business roles and get out of jobs, for which case I worried about it. Now, our engineers, the ones that we were training, will be okay because we spend so much time focusing on business and executive communication and leadership, and that's why they're still getting hired. But the pure tech hands-on only people, I feel so bad for them. So I'm glad we got that out there.
Yeah, I think that put the flare up in the air for distress for everyone to understand how serious how disruptive ChatGPT is, and this is just their beta stuff. Let's consider Bard as well. Their Microsoft's answer to ChatGPT. So you think about how disruptive GPT is. Then you think about all the other options that will enter the market and how that's going to compete against the human presence of engineers, and it's going to be a tidal wave of change for people within that industry. So prompting them to, I guess, prepare, adjust, evolve, add more tricks into their repertoire of skills is going to be imperative for them if they don't outright start changing their careers into something that's more client facing, more relationship based. It's going to it's going to be impactful, to say the least.
All right. So those are all of our episodes that did not include.
You know what, Chris? What would be a great idea is if we can get the top 3 and throw it in the survey to see what our viewers are thinking, what their favorite show was. I would love to see what they think.
Oh, wow. You want me to do that right now?
Why not?
All right, let's see what we got. These people don't like to engage with polls.
Well,
and Dab, just to let you know, it is a very busy day today at the company, so we may get to your email if we are able to.
His email was actually responded to,
Okay.
and it was responded to at 7:14 p.m. Eastern.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So, what would you guys say is our top 3? Now, these are not including guests, so I don't think this is fair. I think we still need to.
Well, yeah, that's maybe I opened up Pandora's box.
Yeah. Well, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Okay.
All right. So now this is going to not include students because I don't think it's fair to judge our guests that were students that got cloud hired. So let me find this list. All right. So, all right. So we had Sujit Barara that came to speak with us about blockchain for healthcare. We had Imran, who came to speak about networking and cloud computing and aviatrics and multi-cloud and how that all integrates together. We had Nathan talking about Linux for cloud computing. We had Dr. Johnson, who joined us to talk about how to get hired in a recession. We had Dr. Johnson and Dr. Long join us to talk about communication skills, critical skills for cloud architects and cloud engineers. We had Alvin DaCosta join us to talk about what hiring managers look for in employees. We had our freestyle edition, Alonzo. We had Todd from Native Yoga. We had Tom Turkey for Thanksgiving. We had Trevor Spires to talk
Yes.
about what it's like as a solution architect. We had Dr. Johnson again to speak with Alonzo and I about focus and why it matters. We had Reggie Bonifin to talk about what it takes to be elite in your career or life. So, gentlemen, I put to you, give me your top 2 or 3 out of that. And if you'd like, I can review those again.
No, I can give you my top 3. Reggie Bonifant, the NFL player,
Reggie B.
way up there because his heart's good. Now the next 2 are going to be both Todd and Alvin. Alvin DaCosta and I came up together. He was my manager. Then I got promoted faster than he did, and I got him to the senior manager role. And then he helped me get to a director, and he helped him, and then he became a senior director, and then I retired. And now he's a VP over at NVIDIA, and he and I are very close. And we've been close for 2 decades. So there was that one. Now, Todd McLaughlin and Native Yoga. Look, I'm going to tell everybody, you should sign up at Native Yoga and do their yoga. So I was injured in Israel in a martial arts trip and couldn't walk for upwards of 10 years. Todd and his wife, Tamara, worked to develop customized yoga programs to get me walking again. I loved yoga so much that I wanted to become a yoga instructor just because I loved it for me and wanted to learn how to tune it. Todd and Tamara worked out a yoga instructor program for me where they modified everything for me. And then I wasn't satisfied being a standard 2-hour, 100-hour yoga instructor. I wanted to become a 500-hour yoga instructor. And Todd taught me more about yoga than I can ever stop. Todd helped me rehab. Look, I'm still not perfect after my injury, and it takes me 3 hours a day of physical therapy to be okay. But Todd changed my life, and having Todd here and sharing his experiences to me was, pretty important to me. And I recommend Native Yoga to anybody.
All right, Alonzo, you need me to run back through the list real quick for you? Or?
One more time.
All right, so we had Sujit, who joined us to talk about the blockchain for healthcare. We had Imran that joined to talk about networking, cloud computing, and aviatrics and multi-cloud. We had Nathan that joined to talk about Linux for cloud computing. Dr. Johnson talking about how to get hired in a recession. Dr. Johnson and Dr. Long, communication skills. Alvin DaCosta, Todd with Native Yoga. Tom Turkey. Trevor Spires, what it's like to be a solution architect. Dr. Johnson on focus. And Reggie. Top 2 or 3.
I like Reggie B. I really enjoyed that episode. I liked listening to
It's not that serious, man.
It is, man. It is. Because all this stuff is rushing through my brain about, okay, the discussion with NVIDIA with Mr. DaCosta, that's number 2. But the thing is that what I had a lot of fun with was the Thanksgiving Day thing with everyone talking about their favorite meals.
Well, that's because you won. I mean, that's because everyone wanted to eat Thanksgiving with you.
That might have had a little something to do with it, but I'm trying to be partial here. So I think those 3 were awesome. Reggie B, he talked about being what it takes to be elite, what he went through, what his interests are, how everyone can resonate with his journey in throughout the NFL. Then we talk about how about the subject matter with NVIDIA and how that was beneficial and his journey and how it transformed his life and how it's applicable to everyone else here. And then just the turkey episode. That was just plain fun. That was a lot of fun. We talked about food. I'm a foodie. I love all that good stuff. I think everyone did too. And the other ones, they had really great content. But it was those 3 that really stuck in my mind and just resonated with me. And I'm all about relationships and meeting people and seeing how people can come together, create great ideas, and grow within the company or within their skill set. So that was a tough one.
Yeah, it was pretty tough.
All right.
That was, yeah.
Let's see here. I mean, not to sound like a broken record here, but Reggie and Alvin are probably my top two. And I'm going to go back to something that I heard earlier today, that we as humans are driven by stories. We're wired for stories.
Hmm.
And they both had stories that were just like I can't write them better than the stories that they shared. So for the sake of not sounding like a broken record, let me see what else other than those two. Trevor was a good episode. That was a fun episode. Trevor was a very fun episode, and it was different because we've had several architects on the show, but we've not had what I would arguably say a branded architect like Mike, someone that speaks as eloquently as Mike does on the matter. and to have that conversation, that dialogue between you and Trevor, that was something like that just kept feeding itself, and
that was very fun.
And I enjoyed being a fly on the wall with that one. That Alonzo and I were there. We were kind of on the sidelines, but it was great. I enjoyed it, and I think the audience enjoyed it too. So I liked that. Trevor was a fun
fun guy.
Yeah. Again, I'm trying not to keep with the same ones that you guys chose, just for the sake of fun. I think the show with me, Alonzo, and my dad talking about focus. We dropped a lot of nuggets in that
show. Yeah, that was a deep one.
Is that the one where my brother was here in Florida?
Yes, you weren't on here.
Because that one, I got to tell you, my brother went and called his girlfriend for a few minutes, and I just was going to watch TV, but I tuned into this, and I'm like, wow, this show's so good. I should let you guys do it without me all the time.
Right.
Yeah, that was fun. When you think about all the details, it's like looking at this huge 1,000-piece puzzle. One of them is important, but when you put them all together, and it creates such a large view of what we do and how we're able to interact with our guests, with our viewers, and the change that it makes in the overall visuals that it creates, it's hard to decide on just pick one here, pick one there. I love them all, to be honest. And I know that's the, easy way out, but it's hard to say, especially Mike's birthday message and all the guests that came to celebrate his birthday, and the change that they said, the change in life, change in career, change in viewpoints, change in overall perspective originated from Mike's passion of helping people. And I remember a lot of them when they first made their phone call about understanding what the course was, all the way to them saying that they got cloud hired, and watching them evolve and transform into these totally different people who are the same, but they're even better than what they were coming in. And how they celebrated Mike. That was an awesome thing to see.
That was my favorite.
And Chris put that stuff together. I mean, he ninja'd his way through because everyone knows Mike is inquisitive, to say the least.
Yeah, that was a fun one to.
That
You
was
know how
hard to
difficult
hide.
it was to coordinate hundreds and hundreds of people to where Mike
those
didn't know what the
emails.
heck was happening.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
And it was because I'm like, Chris, what's going on with your output? Like, there's all this stuff, and he kept telling me we don't have the bandwidth, we don't have the the time. And I'm like, I know we've got the time to do this. Like, what's really going on?
Yeah, Mike was you almost saw the sparks coming out of his neck. Like, what's
And I'm
going
calling
on?
Alonzo, hey, do you know what's going on? What's going on? He's like, I don't know, I'm not allowed to talk about it. It got to the point when you told me, Chris, that we actually broke the server of the video company, the company that we actually.
Yeah, the freaking vice president of that company had to reach out to me because we had some issues with.
He broke his system.
You got so many positive reviews of our course that we literally broke the server of the SaaS company that we were using.
Yeah, that was a fun situation. That was a very, very rough weekend.
I'll bet.
But hey, the vice president of that company reached out to me on a weekend, so that was great. Talk about customer service, because I had to get it done by Monday. That show was Monday. You didn't know that show was Monday, but that show
I had
was
no
Monday.
idea what was going on.
You found out that show was on Monday.
I just knew my whole staff was busy and I couldn't figure out why.
Yeah.
Where's my leadership team?
Oh man. Oh, let's see here. Well, so we've reflected a lot on the show here, but Mike, I want to give you the opportunity. I got in the title of the live stream here. Go Cloud Architects, Go Cloud Careers, past and future. You want to figure I'd give you some time to talk about some of the things that we've been working on, that we've got coming, that we're going to be making available for people to take advantage of. And you can also include some of the things that have already happened, like the update to the program, the tech interview mastery, so on and so forth.
So we had we won an award for the best online school of cloud computing for our cloud architect career development program. But people that know me know that I am literally never satisfied, and Chris is a perfectionist, and so is Alonzo. So we literally spent hundreds of hours taking our program and re-optimizing it, and our students are beyond excited. So we did that. As it turned out, except for one, and that's because I missed my taxi, I've never been on an interview where I never got hired. In fact, I remember on my first tech job, I wanted to be a network engineer, which people told me was impossible. And I met this guy, Devendra, and he interviews me and he says, Mike, you're not a network engineer, you're a senior engineer. And I had no background. And that was the start of my career. I was a senior architect within 6 months of the time I even started tech, and a principal architect with 2 years. And since that time, more than 2.5 decades ago, I've been helping people build their careers. Even at WorldCom, now Verizon, I was there, and my manager said, I need a CCIE on my team, and I think it's going to be you, Gibbs. You read faster than the rest of my team. And I had like these 10 routers and one switch on my desk, because in the old days, the CCIE was when it was a hard exam, before they made it simple and a one-day exam. I started teaching other people how to pass the CCIE. My manager says to me after 6 months, he's like, Mike, I don't see you doing any work, but my team output is up by like 300%. What's going on? I said, I've been tutoring the people to be network experts. And he's like, keep doing whatever you're doing. So, there was that. And then, anyway, we've gotten people hired almost every day out of this program, and watching people in Australia get $300,000 salaries. And apparently in Australia, the salaries just seem to be $300,000 for everybody we get. In the US, they're about 150 to 300. But watching these people get hired day and day and day. And then I really wanted to do what I truly chose to do. I've spent over 25 years studying the interview. I've interviewed over 5,000, actually 6,000 technology professionals, chief information officers, hiring managers and recruiters, and asked, what do you want in the perfect employee? And I've been training them for the interview. And why do I love interview training? Because I like making people wealthy. And what most people don't know is for the average architect job, baseline job, there's a $100,000 pay differential between the lowest and highest paid person on the team. It has nothing to do with your experience. It has to do with how well you do on the interview. And I showed some people 2 weeks ago on like a principal architect job, which I had in less than 2 years. At Google, there's a $250,000 difference between the lowest and highest paid person with the same job. At Microsoft, there's a $195,000 difference. And for what do you call it? At AWS, there's a $197,000 or $6,000 difference between the lowest and highest paid person on the team. And for those people, you know, watching them do it. So I created our interview program. It's sold out completely. We're going to do, in fact, the demand is so high, we're going to do it again in May. So you can sign up now for the May batch. We sold out so fast on this. We're super excited about it. Our people that are doing our interview training are going to get hired like that at salaries they've never even dreamed possible. And because, you know, most people don't know how to reach the top in their tech careers. And they actually destroy their career by destroying their brand. In partnership with the University of Tennessee, as well as some of the best technology executives I've ever met, VPs over at NVIDIA, enterprise architects, executive coaches, MBA, B school, business school professors. We have the How to Make More Money in Tech program coming out. And oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. We're taking all the critical elements out of an MBA program and popping it in here. And as an executive like me, who had like a $300,000 plus education, even after doing 2 MBAs, one at Drexel and one at Widener University, I still needed $100,000 of leadership training, CXO relevancy training, sales skills training, executive presence training. And this program combines the best of the MBA and the best of that. So our students will get jobs that they've never dreamed possible. Why? The average job with business acumen pays $553,000 per year. You combine that with a tech career and you've got some great things. Senior director at Cisco is about $550. Senior director at Palo Alto is about $550. Principal architect at Google is about $508. Principal architect at Microsoft is about $400. All jobs that require a ton of business acumen. So we've got the How to Make More Money in Tech program. And the last program coming up that I'm super excited about is the Elite Architect program. And what's that? It's our award-winning architect program combined with this How to Make More Money in Tech program, plus the interview training program. It's a bundle. And it's got private coaching from executive coaches and interview coaches. It's got leadership training, way above and beyond. It's got executive training, and it's also got an architect training program. So that, to me, is the pinnacle of success. And you know why I'm really excited about it? We're going to be able to deliver that for the average salary of a cloud architect's 2 weeks' pay. And for that, I'm beyond excited. I expect our students to get salaries in the realm of an MBA from Harvard University. Our graduates automatically earn more than Harvard University graduates in most cases. And now we're combining that plus the leadership experience. I expect the results to be amazing as soon as students follow our goals. I'm super excited about that. So you know where we came from? I didn't even plan on starting this program. I had no choice. And now you know where we're going. And kind of keep that in the back of your mind now. That's what I'm excited about. And well, I guess we'll keep it at that for right now. We may have some surprises coming out for you very soon as well, but I don't want to talk about them right now. But super excited. I'm also excited that right now, it's the last day of the 50% off sale, and I want everybody to take advantage of it so they can have the results like our current students. You know, the 60% was off we had for a month, and people didn't take it seriously. And 2 days afterwards, and 3 days, and a week later, they're still emailing us. And of course, we can't charge different prices to different people. And today's the last day of the 50% off, and I want people to take advantage of that because that means someone can get a cloud architect job for less than that. And our training is less than 2 days' pay for our average graduate. Tomorrow it won't be here anymore, but today it still exists.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Alonzo, do you have any last words for us on this a wonderful episode of Head in the Clouds? You are muted.
Okay, let's do this again. Everyone, I wanted to take the time to say thank you for the opportunity to work with you, to introduce myself to who we are as Go Cloud, Go Cloud Careers, how we can help you and transform your life. We really, I really am humbled that I have an opportunity to help people transform their lives with these awesome gentlemen. We definitely want you all to take advantage of it. Please don't hesitate. Please understand that this is so impactful for your life and that this is real. This is possible for you to do. It only takes a few moments of your time. One step can equal the completion of an entire journey if you just try. So we're thankful. We always want you all to continue to engage with us on Tuesdays, join our webinars throughout the week. And we just want everyone to have a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for participating. And we're on to even greater things in the years to come. So definitely a big celebratory anniversary and happy birthday for us at Heading the Clouds.
All right. And the last thing that I'm going to ask for, since Mike and Alonzo have spoken, I'm going to ask everybody to do something for me. Send us an email about topics you would like on our show.
Yeah.
Info at gocloudcareers.net. All right. So send us an email. So
Jermaine, it's so good to see you.
all right.
Jermaine.
Jermaine's an amazing guy.
Angelo.
Angelo, we love you. We appreciate not only you being our student, but also helping to teach. And Angelo, you sending me Burberry because you know I love Ethiopian food. I totally appreciated that.
All right. Let's see. I forgot. All right, let's do this. What? I forgot I was going to do this. Okay. What is your favorite unscripted part that happened over the past year?
We got to pick just one, Chris. Really?
Just any. Name some. I mean, how about me trashing on Bon Jovi for like a whole month? Remember that?
Oh yeah. And we had to explain to some who Bon Jovi was. Okay,
Yeah,
that was a good one.
No, I mean, I kept saying Bon Jovi's not real music for like a whole month.
You were about to incite a riot there.
Yeah, we had arguments in the chat box and everything. That was a fun unscripted bit. AJP's got it over here in the chat box. The save the voice mic. That was some fun unscriptedness.
Yeah. Anything with the buzzer. It was just hilarious. It was because once Mike gets going, you say, okay, Mike, you gotta adhere to this. Mike just goes full blast. It's like, forget it, we're gonna go for it, and then you always hit the buzzer, like, come on, let's reel it in, Mike. That was always fun.
So any of you got a favorite unscripted bit that comes to mind?
A kind of response that we got from James Yang right now that he never wants to leave the program. James, we're thrilled to work with you. I like when people pop in and we just find out that our students are hired. That one always just makes me. Marla, we absolutely love Marla. Marla is a total class act in every way. So, and her communication skills are so unbelievable. I asked her to actually help teach executive communication in our program. Good to see you, Marla. And thanks so much.
All right. So yes, we will respond to your emails, Dev. So I want to thank everybody for joining. Hope that everybody has a great evening, and see all of you next week.
Take care, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
See you next week.